21% of millennials left their jobs last year. 60% plan to leave jobs in the first 3 years. And one of the biggest challenges in corporate America is knowledge transfer. You've got 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day.
Welcome to She Invests. Join us every week for conversations focused on the growing number of female angel investors, the real unicorns. You'll hear from existing female angel investors, VCs, and fund managers on their investment thesis. From deal flow to exits, they will share the best practices that contribute to their success. Female angel investors will be equipped with the tools and resources to confidently activate their capital in order to make an impact in their community and the global economy. With your host, active angel investor and founder of Hera Angels, Dr. Sylvia Ma.
I am absolutely thrilled to have Julie Kantor as one of the amazing women who actually invest in others on the She Invest podcast today. Julie Kantor is an all-in, roll-up-your-sleeves leader and social impact entrepreneur committed to building mentoring cultures to drive employee engagement and elevating women in the STEM workforce. Whether in a boardroom with executives or working with collaborative teams and startups, Julie instills excitement, inspires commitment, and demonstrates an unwavering drive to help others succeed, to invest in others. Two of the things that Julie loves to share with clients is that, quote, the people who mentor at your company are the people who drive retention at your company. And secondly, quote, mentor your millennials, or they will often leave and find a company that will. She is the CEO of Two Mentor LLC. This is her 5th startup. Can you believe that? That is amazing. She works with clients such as Cisco and Intel, UPS, the World Bank, Department of Defense, just an amazing woman. And her career started also with empowering youth entrepreneurship. So she's written books, she's done TED Talks, she has just an amazing career of supporting millennials, supporting the youth, and also supporting women, especially around the STEM field. So I am thrilled and honored to have Julie Kantor on the She Invest podcast today. Welcome to the podcast, Julie.
So Julie, thank you for being part of the She Invest podcast. It is just an honor to have you on the podcast today.
Oh, Sylvia, well, I'm delighted to be on She Invest. I'm a big fan of yours and your work. And just we all need to get behind women entrepreneurship. And it's fun. After teaching entrepreneurship for 20 years, it's fun to join this podcast as an entrepreneur myself with my new company. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Let's talk about that because I'm so excited. I really wanted you to be part of the show because it is about, investing. Sometimes people are like, oh, it's only money, but it isn't. And we talked, I just came back from a Gender Lens Investing Summit, which was amazing at Wharton. And we talked so much about mentoring and advising and getting mentees and mentors. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be talking to Julie and I'm so excited. So talk to me about Two Mentors because you invest, the podcast is She Invest. You invest your time and talent with these ladies. So talk to me a little bit about Two Mentor.
Yeah, well, I've really spent I think this is my 5th startup,
Wow.
But this is the big one with no safety net. And I've spent the last 2 decades building movements. The first one is we grew a movement from 18 kids court ordered out of school to training 650,000 inner city kids on how to start and operate their own small businesses.
Amazing.
And I loved teaching entrepreneurship and training the trainer and really thinking, Sylvia, how do people make it in the market economy? And being a nonprofit leader, there were tons of women. So when I stepped down, I joined a tech startup as a co-founder, and we launched in Silicon Valley at a conference called Demo. And that night, I realized I was one of the few women there and one of the really few women that had any equity in business. And so going from many women in nonprofit leadership roles to almost none was so eye-opening for me. And I got really intrigued with how do we elevate women, especially in science, technology, engineering, math, and entrepreneurship, And how do we also drive a greater retention of our younger workforce and help them build their sea legs? And funny that you mentioned Wharton, but there was an incredible study out of Wharton by Wharton and Gartner on the company Sun Microsystems before they were bought by Oracle. And at the engineering department at Sun Microsystems, people who mentored got promoted. 5 years later, Sylvia, those people got promoted 6 times more than people who didn't mentor. The mentees, people who weren't afraid to ask for help, the mentees got promoted 5 times more. Retention rates were 20% higher for both the mentor and the mentees. And we tell our clients, each time you lose someone, that is at a minimum a year salary in the cost of replacing a decent employee. So it's good for the mentor, it's good for the company, and it's good for the mentor, the mentee. It's a triple win. But a lot of companies need to get building their mentoring initiatives if they want to elevate women and retain millennials. So that's what I focus on, invest in, have invested the past couple of years of my life, is how do we do this and build not just mentoring initiatives, but mentoring cultures and integrate sponsorship.
I love that, because I know that we talk a lot about sponsorship and mentorship. Can you kind of break that up? And I have tons of other questions, but that's you finished with that. So mentoring versus sponsorship.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to really simplify it, Sylvia, a mentor is someone who speaks to you, and a sponsor is someone who speaks about you. Silicon Valley is built on sponsorship. The Old Boys Network is built on sponsorship. 83% of women don't have sponsors. Men are much likely to have a sponsor, and men are especially in tech, men are more likely to sponsor women. So it's that champion, that advocate, the person who helps you get that first client or a big break or that latest investment in your company. It's a game changer for women. And women, we need to also flex our sponsorship muscles. We are powerful. We have networks, and we can mentor and sponsor other women and men.
I love that. Yeah. When I'm a scientist, so I'm always like, how do you do that? And I get a lot of questions like, how do I get a mentor and how do I get a sponsor? My first answer back is always relationships. But I know that this is what you build, this business of Two Mentors. So can you break that down with us a little bit more of how do you do that? Or is it just a relationship? I don't know. You enlighten me.
Well, first off, way more than you realize. This stuff is not as complicated, I think, as we make it. The one thing I've noticed, Sylvia, I've been going around the globe doing flash mentoring sessions, which is kind of like speed dating. It's really fun. And we have a curriculum we've built called the Mentor Road Trip. And we've been doing mentor trainings, certification trainings. What is it to be a good mentor? Or how do you, as a mentee, become more mentorable? We've been writing about these issues also for the Huffington Post. So what we really do is we go in and we work with companies, corporations, and associations and help them build their mentoring initiatives and culture. The first thing is to really figure out from the mentee perspective, what do you really need or want a mentor for? Where are you trying to grow? Who has what you need? So it's really important that this relationship be driven in many ways by the mentee, that you have specific tangible goals that a mentor can help you with. And if you think that there's someone really cool that you know, or ask people in your network to make introductions, you don't have to overcomplicate this. I might come up to you, Sylvia, you are so amazing in women investing and in building all the work you guys do. I have a couple questions for you. Can I take you to a cup of coffee? Yep. And I have a couple questions, that I would love to run by you.
And of course, I'm going to say yes. Yay.
Or have Skype chat or use Google Chats or Link or Zoom, but have that first conversation, but share with your prospective mentor that, some areas you want to grow and get their feedback, ask them questions, prepare for that meeting, make it as simple as a cup of coffee. And if it goes well, would they be available for another meeting next month? What's their favorite place to get pedicures? Let's go, and look at how you can reciprocate. as a mentee, but having specific goals and understanding, who's going to call who. We work with companies to build internal programs. More and more with all the things that are going on with the Me Too campaign, really. We've been asked more and more by companies, can you help us help our men mentor better, and have healthy boundaries? And so we've been writing a lot about that as well. But mentoring is a game changer. And there is not one person out there that is in any leadership position that got there on their own. Each one of them had someone mentoring or sponsoring them, a role model, someone that believed in them before they believed in themselves. And it's really important we don't forget that and we pay it forward.
I love that. Paying it forward and lifting up the next generation is so important.
Absolutely.
And as a mentor, I think as an angel investor myself, I'm always thinking, okay, I'm a mentor to other people. How do I be better at that? What do you tell that mentor? Maybe a couple tips to say, hey, how do you make this communication better? Because sometimes I even have that question of, I have this great, talented woman that I want to mentor and do more for. How do I do more for her?
Right. Well, I think that's a fantastic question. And the first thing I would want to say is you are enough. I think as women, and we hear a lot about imposter syndrome, I think a lot of people are a little intimidated by mentoring. I think they're a little afraid of not being a fabulous mentor. And I will caveat, one of our services is mentor certification training. But really think about what their challenges are, what your mentee's challenges are, where she or he want to go and grow, and start sharing from your own experiences. I would encourage you not to tell someone what to do, but use a more Socratic method. Ask questions, get them thinking, have them look at where they've been successful, have them, share again from your experience, and maybe even take her to a business meeting with you. If she's trying to get into sales or is an entrepreneur trying to get their first, series A round or angel investing round, have her go to a pitch event with you where she sees other companies pitching, and then get together afterwards and discuss what happened on the stage. What did you like? What didn't you like? Who would you invest in? And really start going out and doing things together, having her join you at a meeting, maybe even with one of your mentors. Think about and write down 5 or 10 pieces of advice that was the best advice, Sylvia, a mentor ever gave you, or advice you wish someone had given you. Create a 3 to 6 month relationship. Again, does she want to be mentored? Does she have goals and objectives? And are you mentoring her on personal issues or professional issues? Create a little bit of a game plan, have a handshake agreement on what you're doing together, and make sure you celebrate all the small wins.
I love that, because we don't celebrate enough sometimes, us women.
Celebrate the small wins. One of my mentees just published 2 very brave blogs this week. And she had experienced some hardship and she put it out there and she sent it to me. And, I was thrilled. Another mentee, a video of his new company was put up on Facebook's main page with 5 million views overnight.
Wow.
I was so jealous and so proud of him. I'm actually one of his advisors. We were thrilled for him. It's called Unsung Heroes, the company, but thrilled for him. And also remember, we learn as much from our mentees as they learn from us. Don't be afraid to ask them to teach you something. How are they using technology to be more productive? What's their favorite app? How do they view collaboration? What do they most need out of a mentor? Learn and you can make it a pretty mutual relationship.
I love that, and I also think communication is really important, like really with that game plan, talking about how are we going to communicate? Is it better by email or a phone call or text or something like that? Because that sometimes gets washed away sometimes.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems that I see companies, because we work with really big companies. We've had some contracts with the World Bank. We've done a keynote for the Federal Reserve Bank. We just did a mentor training for Barilla, the pasta company. And
that's cool.
We're in really big negotiations with some really big companies right now. And we talk about the pitfalls and where companies make mistakes. And it's usually around sustainability and accountability of their initiatives. But one thing is just throwing people together, is not a great idea. You want to figure out what are some of the competencies you have that other person needs, and have a game plan. And the more you set up and just have clarity on the beginning, the less problems you'll have. And again, there should be a beginning and an end, an exit strategy. I hate to use those words, but an exit strategy. And then your mentee hopefully will learn so much from you that they'll also find someone the next year to mentor and pay it forward.
Yeah. And, this came up also at the summit that we were at, is that how early does culture start in a startup? Because I think that's something that you've come up a lot, is like culture. And I'm working with big companies that want to increase their culture, want to increase how they interact with their employees. How early does that start in a startup?
Before the startup even starts.
Yep.
We say culture eats strategy for lunch. And I'm here today as CEO of Two Mentor because one of the leading reasons I started my own company was a desire to drive culture. Companies are siloed. People are more isolated and alienated than they've ever been behind technology. People not feeling valued, even very small companies where a young person starts, it's their first job. And in week one, they already feel like they're failing because they don't have someone taking them under their wing. It's like, I say this to parents all the time. When your kid goes to work for a company, any size, when your kid goes there, what do you most want for them? And some people say, well, I want them to be successful. Well, I want them to be challenged. And I say, well, how important is it to you that someone is willing to show them the ropes, care about them, help them avoid the corporate, jellyfish in the ocean and the politics? How important is it that someone actually cares about your kid enough to mentor them? And people don't think about it, but they're like, oh my God, it's everything. It's everything. It's everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think also for the millennial, generation, it's even more important.
Yeah. 76% of millennials in a Deloitte survey view that being mentored is crucial to their success, whereas older generations wanted once a year reviews. Millennials want feedback every month, some every week. And 79% of millennials want their managers to be mentoring style managers. Mm-hmm. So they actually are looking for their managers for a new management contract. The contract is, I come to work for you, you invest in me, my learning and development, and you pay attention and you give me the feedback. Even if it's tough, you mentor me. Mm-hmm. And they're desperate for it. And I don't think corporate America has completely got that. And I tell my clients all the time, mentor them or they will leave you. 21% of millennials left their jobs last year. 60% plan to leave jobs in the first 3 years. And one of the biggest challenges in corporate America is knowledge transfer. You've got 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. 43% of people don't plan on retiring till the age of 70. You know why? They don't have enough of a nest egg. They cannot retire. And millennials are coming in and they're frustrated. And they're going to, so I say, if you do not mentor them, they're going to go find someone and a company that will. And that's starting to matter more to millennials than brand. I think the next Generation Z coming up, will be a little bit more focused on financial security. Millennials were a little bit more focused on, we say, purpose over paycheck. Mm-hmm. But this next generation is really, they're the children of Generation Xers who are in their 40s, early 50s now. But it's a critical, it's a huge opportunity for multi-generational mentoring. And more of companies we're talking to are doing reverse mentoring initiatives with great success, where the millennials are mentoring the older people. And at one company, Perishing, a BNY Mellon company, I talked to their president, 96% retention of millennials 4 years later.
Amazing.
The millennials were the mentors to the executive committee, which is, so this can be a two-way street. This can be a great win-win.
Yeah, like you said before, it's like you learn so much from the mentee, and having that, it's like the same thing as reverse classroom type of thought process and bringing in curriculum. It's that shift of learning and shift of understanding where knowledge is shared. Exactly.
And, with this silver tsunami of people who will be ultimately retiring, where will the knowledge transfer take place? And if in manufacturing industries and other highly technical industries, if that knowledge transfer doesn't take place, there can be a major sustainability challenge for a lot of great companies.
Yeah. And I mean, what have you found we talked about that reverse mentoring, but what other things have been great in that investing in the new generation of getting them through the STEM field? What has really worked that you've seen? I mean, of course, mentoring, but anything else?
Well, also, I was the former chief partnership officer of STEM Connector. And so I've talked over the last 5 years with about 1,500 women in STEM fields. And the vast majority, over 90%, when I asked them how they got to where they are today and discussed the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, over 90% said that if they were sponsored, they were sponsored by a man. It was very interesting to hear that, and that, but it makes sense. Men were just historically more in positions of power and generous with mentoring and championing. Just again, I think that sponsorship and if we want diversity, we're going to need the top echelons of corporate America to sponsor more diversely. So I did a training for the CEO of a company with 10,000 employees. We did a 3.5-hour certification training program, and we actually created it was called Take Flight with Your Sponsor. And we created a whole living legacy for him of who was he going to mentor, who was he going to sponsor in 2018, who would he be championing, and is that group of people a diverse group of people? And that this needs to be engineered a little bit and thought through. Almost every woman that I've spoken to that plans on leaving their company or is calling me trying to see if I can help them find a new job, which happens a lot. It's also the vast majority, you pull away 2 layers of the onion and it's like, I don't have a sponsor. Oh my God, I didn't realize I didn't have a sponsor. I don't have that air coverage. I don't have someone, and they start feeling undervalued, underappreciated. So I think the sponsorship agenda for higher level executives is critical for retention, especially in STEM fields. And then going much more young, we need to, the girls and, we need role models. There's a saying, you cannot be what you cannot see. And so those role models, mentors, sponsors, champions, those are all needed.
I think that's important. I mean, I have a daughter, and even like at 9 years old, I saw that difference. I'm like, okay, I need to surround her with amazing role models that will allow her to see the difference, the diversity of industries in STEM even. Because sometimes, I mean, as a STEM girl myself, I just saw I need to be academic or nothing, or like go into high-powered corporate America, biotech company or nothing. So I love that diversity of, ethnic diversity, but also diversity of thought in the STEM field is what's real. I feel like that's what's needed from my generation.
I was working with a company called My College Options a couple years ago, and they do the largest study of high school students and what their career aspirations are in the nation. And out of millions of students, 15% of the girls were interested in STEM careers versus 44% of the boys. Boys were 8 times more likely to choose technology and engineering. Over 80% of the girls chose sciences as their career path. And obviously, these technology engineering positions tend to pay about 40% more than other careers. Out of 368,000 girls who said they're interested in STEM careers, guess how many said they had a mentor encouraging them in the high school years?
Probably, I don't know, like 10% or something like that.
4%.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also a huge opportunity that we need to get out there. And I'm so proud. I mean, I know so many women that are jumping on to this cause, that are getting out there, that are role models, that are showing young women that they can have awesome careers and use these skills in tech and and problem solving, engineering. They can use these skills for their own business or to work for someone else, and that there's options. And we know that women are 50% of the workforce, but we're only 24% of the STEM workforce, and 50% of us drop out. And there's a lot of reasons women are dropping out, and a lot of it played out in Uber and is playing out in the media right now. But this is the time for women to champion women, and also younger men. I think that we need to take our role as mentors and sponsors. I call that Mentor 2.0.
I love that. Yeah, because I think that it's really important to be able to reach down to the younger generation and do that. You're an author of a book, I Said Yes, the youth enterprise I Said Yes, youth entrepreneurship in America's schools. So you really have dove into this field.
I love anything entrepreneurship, and I'm really excited. I just got selected to be an official speaker for Entrepreneurs Organization and Vistage.
Oh, great.
And also had the opportunity to speak at Witty and Watermark Executive Women Conference. And but I Said Yes, I wrote in 2006, and I'm working on a second book.
2.0.
Mentor 2.0, yeah. But I'm working on my second book now with a great publisher. I Said Yes was really about teachers, youth, and leaders who were helping kids build their American dream through entrepreneurship. And I wrote that book as if I get hit by a bus, this book needs to exist. And so that was that led to a lot of great things, and really, really glad I wrote it. But these kids changed my life. Seeing them build their own businesses gave me the courage to launch my own company. I do want to ask her if she could just step over here a second. I just want her to wave. Ganilla Gerardo is our Vice President of Global Scalability. Oh, where am I?
Hello.
Ganilla was the former president of Mentor Foundation USA, and we knew each other and respected each other. And when she was transitioning, we decided to team up a bit. And
that's great. I couldn't be more excited to be part of Julie's journey here. And so it's such a great company and big need in the marketplace.
And I love that you guys support each other. That's what's important. I think when two great minds come together, great things happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. And we both are, doing a lot of business development. She's doing a big keynote at a major conference in Charlottesville for 400 women leaders.
Yeah.
And so we've been going over that today as she prepares for this keynote. And we also have one more member of our team here. Maybe Ganilla, could you introduce? I want to introduce, we are very fortunate to have a chief happiness officer.
Oh, that's awesome.
And her name is Naomi, and she comes into our shared office right in the heart of Bethesda Row. We bring her in about 3 days a week, and she keeps our spirits high with our startup here. I don't know if you picked up, Sylvia, but did you notice something funny in our name, Two Mentor?
Let me see.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So TWO mentor. If you put two,
Woman.
exactly. It takes two to make things go right, like Rob Bay said. So it's to mentor or to mentor someone. But it's the only way you can get the word women and men into mentoring. And so we decided that the word mentor could be more inclusive. So voila, to mentor.
I love that. And I think that brings up a good point, because I think that the inclusion of men in what we're doing is so important. I always get asked, why are you so siloed? I'm like, I'm not siloed. I work with men. They need to be our champions as well of moving this force forwards.
It's been rare in the last year that I haven't had a conversation with a male leader where he hasn't gone ahead and introduced me to two other leaders and has sponsored me, my company, and more and more vice versa. That's, I think, critical for any entrepreneur, especially female entrepreneurs, that we need to be asking for introductions. We need to ask people directly to champion us. And we need to see how we can champion other people once we've, believe in them and know that, that they'll keep our reputation strong when we introduce them to other people. But I'm doing much more sponsorship, and many more people are sponsoring me. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun. I love connecting people, and I'm very honored and do not take it lightly when people connect us. And we usually also with we have about 5 or 6 women consultants working with us now, and each of them have been opening up doors and making things happen, and we just give them a percentage of revenues.
I love that. I think that's important. When you open up your network and very mindfully, more comes in.
Yes.
Not having that mindset of being not Debbie Downer, but let's say that you will just want to have that open character. I see that in you. I see that in your team, and it's just so refreshing and awesome.
Oh, thank you. Well, we're talking with quote unquote competitors, and they're not. Like, we can team up somehow. One sent me a client. There's so many ways we can help each other out there and not get so bogged down with, it's just I call it coopetition.
I love that. Yes, I've heard that, and I love that. We
can help each other, and we're pretty open. We put a lot of thought leadership and content out there on the Huffington Post and to our networks. We share a lot, and we're gonna just be good people and make good things happen.
I love that. So we're coming to a close, but I wanted to make sure that if you have any other things that you would like to talk about, what you guys are doing, what kind of impact that you're making, would be awesome to learn more about that.
Sure. Well, I want to share a picture of something that we've been doing. We've been, as I shared, going to conferences globally, and we've been jump-starting the passion for mentoring, boosting and kind of igniting the engine, shall we say, with our mentor road trip flash mentoring sessions. I actually built the model when I was in Chennai, India, doing a leadership conference with 70 nonprofit leaders from all over India through the Center for Social Leadership, run by my brother. And
wow.
It was awesome. And basically, we've created an experience, and I'll just give you a couple of, just to paint a picture. You go to conferences, we all go to conferences, and we look up on the stage. What's happening up there? Well, we get up there, but then we put the spotlight on the people. So there's not one bystander. So we might, for example, we're going on a journey. We're going on a road trip together, and you might meet, and I'm like, okay, Sylvia, you and I are paired. And we have many ways of doing this, but all of a sudden, okay, Sylvia, you're my mentor. We're driving in the car. It's a beautiful day. We've got our Starbucks, and then all of a sudden, flat tire. And I would look at you, and you're my mentor, and I would share, Sylvia, I've got a flat tire in my life right now. I've got a problem, big or small. The problem I have today is I've got 4 major opportunities, and I really need to close 1 or 2 of them, because I've been self-financing this company, and I really want your advice. It's been challenging me that I haven't closed it yet, and time seems to be of the essence. So I might share with you a challenge, and then we have 5 minutes. You can give me advice. We can exchange business cards, and then bam, you're now matched with Barry. I'm now matched with Ganilla. And we talk about driving in reverse. If you could drive your car in reverse and go back to your 25-year-old self, what advice would you have for her on being an entrepreneur? So we create and customize flash mentoring. And it's just been extraordinary to see people helping people and the beauty of that. We talk a lot about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the top of the hierarchy is self-actualization. We'll argue there's something higher than that. It's called transcendence. It's seeing another person self-actualize. So that has led to the beginnings where companies then want to have their employees that experience this trained. And then from there, we come in and we can do a 5.5-hour mentor certification training. We can do it by webinar or we can come in person. Yeah, we train people to be awesome mentors, to be awesome sponsors and build their, and for CEOs and CXOs, we're working now at the top of major companies with their executive committees on how they can build out their living legacy through mentorship and sponsorship. So we are really want to work with others where we can be part and build this mentoring revolution and help employees not just survive, but thrive, and help companies understand that the people who mentor at your company are the people who will drive retention at your company, and they're critical and they need to be recognized. And the act of mentoring needs to be recognized.
I love that, because a company invests in that employee needs to also invest in others.
Yeah. And companies are going to have to ask themselves over the next couple of years a really tough question. Is it a nice to have or a have to have? Mm-hmm. And if for let's say you lose 10 employees, they were each paid $120,000 a year. The cost of losing someone is, according to Society of Human Resource Management, your loss is 100 to 300% salary. This is one of your most low-cost, effective ways to drive retention, but it has to be supported at the top.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Well, I love all the work that you're doing. In the last couple minutes, I wanted to go over our rapid fire final four. We usually ask our angel investors this question, but what's your favorite angel investing resource? I don't know if you've gone into that. I mean, you write prolifically, so you probably know something about that.
Worked with the investment community. When I was building Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, we invested in about 27,000 young entrepreneurs and gave many of them seed capital to start their own businesses. My favorite right now is Connectpreneur, and it's run by my dear friend Tian Wong. And we meet 4 times a year. I go to almost every meeting, and it brings angel investors, entrepreneurs, and some corporations together. And it's like going to a high school reunion. And I get flash mentoring with so many amazing leaders, and several that have been helping me on Two Mentors scalability and investment strategy.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I haven't heard of that, so I'm excited about learning more about that. The second thing is, what's your favorite book?
You know, I have to say entrepreneurship, building a business, it's a deeply psychological thing, and there's some trauma to it. And as you build and you challenge yourself and you take risks and you jump off a cliff, I have 2 favorite books. Right now, it's The 4 Agreements, because it really talks about not taking things personally and how we need to understand everyone's got their own dream, their own reality. Their dream is not ours, and that we need to not take things so personally in life. And that's freed me spiritually from a lot of, discomfort. The other one I love, it's a children's book called What to Do with an Idea, and I buy it and give it to
I
everyone.
absolutely love that book. Nobody's ever brought that up, and I'm like, I love that book. It's so great.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, buy. If you are an entrepreneur or thinking about being an entrepreneur, buy it and read it to your friends. Pull it out at dinner parties. It's phenomenal.
I love that book too. So yay! The third question is, who has been a major influence in your life?
My dad. My dad escaped to America when he was 18 years old. He was a refugee and from Hungary and sought political asylum. He came here and never saw his mother again. I knew his father. They both had been in slave labor camps and both escaped. And my father came here with nothing, and he ended up getting a full scholarship to Harvard, and Henry Kissinger mentored him there. And he's taught me a tremendous amount about resiliency and being self-made and the American dream. And, he had a horrible childhood, but he's been a rock and a great father and a rock in my life.
That's amazing. Last question is, what does abundance mindset mean to you?
That I think it's really what we were talking about earlier, is that, we can operate under fear and scarcity, or we can open it up and share and be more inclusive and see that the opportunities around us are endless and we should just have fun building them. That, sometimes as an entrepreneur, I look at my sales pipeline as a garden and I'm like planting the seeds and I'm staring at them, Sylvia, and I'm waiting. Can you grow? Can you grow? Can you grow? Can you grow? Let's go. Let's go. And I want things to happen fast. And sometimes, especially in your first 2 years with the training and development company, things don't happen as fast as you want. So the abundance mindset is to water that field, water that garden, let it take its time a bit, and then move over and start an additional garden and an additional garden and an additional garden, and with a scalability mindset that all of these gardens can and will grow. And if some die and don't work, it's okay, because we have so many options and we're just going to make things happen.
That's beautiful. So thank you so much. This has been so amazing. So enlightening. Thank you for being part of the show. And I'm just looking forward to knowing more about Two Mentor, growing, helping you get more mentors, mentees. We'll all collaborate together.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sylvia, for having me on your show. And I also look forward to our future conversations.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
What an amazing conversation I had with Julie Kantor on the She Invests podcast. Julie is a CEO and founder of Two Mentor, and she really breaks down the mentor-mentee relationship. I loved that it's about the triple win for the relationship, for the corporation that empowers their employees to have mentorship programs and to rise up the next generation of amazing individuals, and also to empower the ones that they already have in their corporations. So we broke down a little bit about what a mentee needs to do to really be able to have that relationship grow and how to even start it. So a couple of questions to start off with is for the mentee. What do you want a mentor for? Another question is, where do you want to grow in your professional career? What do you need? And all of those questions are really introspective. And then the conversations and the relationships are really driven by the mentee. The mentee should have tangible goals that the mentor can help them with. Now, as an angel investor myself, I'm always asked, can you be my mentor? And how can I do it better? I asked that of Julie, and I loved her response that you are enough, which I love that. It's really about really being yourself. But really, then we broke it down a little bit more. What can we do with that mentee so that that relationship can actually grow and have tangible results of success for that mentee? One of them is ask them, what are the mentee's challenges? Secondly is share from your own experience as a mentor. Don't tell them, but use a more Socratic method of asking questions and having introspective conversations. And then a lot of different other tips, but one of the things that I really loved is joining the mentor in a meeting or in a talk that they have or in a discussion across the venture table is really important for them to actually experience what that higher level of thought, higher level of professionalism is. And between the mentor-mentee connection, create a game plan so that both of you know, oh, okay, this is how we're going to communicate. These are the goals that we want to go after. And so that that mentor can be your advocate and your sponsor in that corporation. We talked about sponsorship as well, and also really to transcend above Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a mentor-mentee. So amazing conversation that I had with Julie about how she invests in people, how she invests in relationships, and how she invests in corporations and startups to thrive by growing their talent, growing their people and their culture.
Thank you for listening to and subscribing to the She Invest podcast. Go on over to sheinvest.com for the full show notes for this episode, as well as any resources, websites, and opportunities mentioned during the show. Sign up for the sheinvest.com newsletter to learn about events like our annual Hera Venture Summit during the month of September and our She Invests monthly investor circles. Thank you for your time, talent, and treasure.